TFA fam, welcome back in. Appreciate you rocking with me. Apologies for the voice and for being late this week, but I did want to get this video out talking about my top wide receiver plays for week 15, the first week of the fantasy football playoffs. So with that out of the way, let's just dive right into it. Going to lead things off with a game that I think is sneaky for fantasy purposes this week, and that is going to be the Cowboys and the Panthers. So CeeDee Lamb might sound like an obvious play, but Lamb has really been up and down this year. He has not posted back-to-back top 12 weeks at all this season, which sounds absolutely insane. But I think that changes this week with Carolina on deck. Lamb has actually only posted 3 wide receiver 1 weeks in general this year, but he still has a 24% target share that is top 16 among wide receivers. He's also seeing almost a third of the Cowboys' first week targets, which is top 20. The Panthers are blitzing at the 9th highest rate, but they are dead last in the league in terms of pressure rate. They're also allowing the 8th most fantasy points per game to quarterbacks. So I think this is a game where we could see Cooper Rush have some success. I think this game, like I said, in general, is a really sneaky spot for some fantasy goodness, which is also why I really like Adam Thielen on the other side. Since returning to the lineup 3 weeks ago, Thielen is wide receiver 16 and half PPR points per game, despite only scoring 1 touchdown during that time. That also includes a 57-yard performance week 12 against Kansas City. If we look at the past 2 weeks, Thielen has a 26% target share and a 31% first read percentage. Also has an 11.6 average depth of target, which is higher than what I was expecting from a 34-year-old Adam Thielen. Again, this sets him up nicely in a spot against the Cowboys. They've allowed the 11th most fantasy points per game to wide receivers on the year, the 7th most over the past 3 weeks. Obviously, the Jamar Chase game helps that out a lot, but I still think this is a really good spot for Adam Thielen. Up next, Jauan, Jennings. The Rams are allowing the 9th most fantasy points per game to wide receivers on the season. And since the 49ers have come out of their bye, Jennings has the 4th highest target share since week 10, the 6th highest first read percentage. He has a 36% air yard share, despite having an average depth of target of under 9 yards. It's sitting like 8.6, I think. He has accounted for nearly 33% of the 49ers receiving yards. That ranks 14th among wide receivers. His 14.2 half PPR points per game during that span is good for 13th, and his 0.53 points per route run is 7th best. I have no idea what to make of this whole Debo debacle. I find it hard to believe that all of a sudden he just absolutely toast. I don't know what's going on. But regardless of whether or not he bounces back and gets on track, it's clear that Jennings is a key part of this offense. So I still really like him, even if Debo were to bounce back on this game on Thursday. Next up, another game I really like. I chased this spot last week with Jaden Reed. Massive L on my part, but I'm a glutton for punishment. So I'm going right back to the well here with the Bills and Amari Cooper and Khalil Shakir. This game has a massive 54.5 point total. The Lions have allowed the 6th most fantasy points per game to wideouts on the year. They've done better in recent weeks. Some of that, I think, is getting back some of the pieces in their secondary that have been missing or banged up for the majority of the season. But I feel like the main reason here is due to the schedule they've had over the past couple of weeks. For the Bills, Khalil Shakir has been the one constant in this offense all season. If you take out the weather game against San Fran, he's been a wide receiver 3 or better in all but 3 games. He has seen at least 7 targets in 7 straight games, so I really like him as a really strong flex play here. And then Amari Cooper, he's a bit more of a wild card in this spot, but we're talking about a dude who is coming off a 14-target game where he only ran 26 routes. Yes, Keon Coleman and Dalton Kincaid are expected back for this one, but I think those additions are going to impact Mac Hollins and Dawson Knox way more than they are Amari Cooper. And if this game script plays out the way that the point total is suggesting, there's going to be plenty to go around. This Lions defense is a pass funnel, so I think Cooper and Shakir could both have really big days here against Detroit. McConkey, with him back on track to play against Tampa Bay after missing week 14, this is a really strong spot for the rookie We have a solid 45.5-point total here. The Chargers implied team total sitting at 24.25. The Bucs defense has allowed the 10th most fantasy points per game to wide receivers on the season. And prior to missing the game against Kansas City, McConkey had posted at least 60 receiving yards in 5 of his past 6 games, with 3 of those being 100-plus yard games. A couple more to throw out here. Davante Adams and Garrett Wilson. Only worry here would be the game script if the Jets were to jump out to a lead and then lean on the run game with Braylon Allen and Isaiah Davis. But Adams and Wilson have both seen such strong usage and target rates that they're certainly in play here against the Jags defense, allowing the 5th most fantasy points per game to wide receivers. And if they do jump out to that early lead, they're going to have to score somehow. So Wilson and Adams are certainly in the starting discussion for this week. And then Terry McLaurin, fantastic spot here again, going up against the Saints defense that is allowing the 8th most fantasy points per game. Also going to be missing Noah Brown, so that target tree shrinks even further for the Commanders. Again, the worry here is that the Saints offer no pushback whatsoever in a game with Jake Haener under center. But with nobody else other than Zach Ertz around, McLaurin should still put up a solid day. His upside could be capped if he doesn't score early, but that's obviously well within the range of possibilities. You could easily see him going for 100 and score, and then not having to play much of the fourth quarter. So I still really like Terry McLaurin as well in Week 15. That is going to do it. Appreciate you rocking with me. Please be sure to hit us with a like and a sub. Obviously getting this out late to you all, so you missed the Wednesday live, but we will be going live on Sunday morning as well at 11 a.m. Eastern to answer all of your start set questions. You can also jump into the Discord, which is absolutely free, or you could just drop your start set questions here on this video. So thanks again for joining. Good luck in Week 15, and I hope to see you all next week.